Travis Cook here to speak to you, the professional wrestling fans in SICW and USA Championship Wrestling and all across the country, regarding a couple of incidents that you may have been hearing about over the last couple of weeks. There's been all kinds of things that have been being talked about a suspension that Atilla Khan and I have endured, and physical confrontations with commissioners and promoters, and Herb Simmons getting his ribs busted, and a few different things. And some of what you've heard has been incomplete, and some of what you've heard has not been entirely true, particularly what you've heard from people like Herb Simmons and Burt Prentice. So I wanted to clear the air just a little bit. I wanted to bring everybody up to speed on what's really been happening for the last 2 or 3 weeks, so that the untruths and the rumors and the falsehoods don't stay out there. Now, I'll be honest with you. A lot of what's going on is pretty deep-seated. It goes back a long way. So it's going to take a little while here for me to lay everything out for you. So do yourself a favor. Grab yourself the adult beverage of your choosing, sit back, relax, and let me tell you the story of what all is going on. Now, first and foremost, on the topic of the suspension, it is true that Atilla Khan and myself have been suspended from USA Championship Wrestling. Now, why were we suspended? Well, in actual fact, it really wasn't over very much. It was basically over dropping a couple of elbows after the bell, after a match had ended. That was it. That was all. You can look at the archives of any USA Championship Wrestling TV show from the last couple of years, and on any given show, you'll see people doing far more egregious things than that and not getting suspended. So why were we suspended? And the video of this is on their most recent TV show. You can find it on the USA Championship Wrestling YouTube page. It's the most recent episode. Go download it and watch it, and you'll see we really didn't do that much. So why were we suspended? Well, I think we were suspended because of a personal animus and a personal jealousy of a guy named Herb Simmons. Now, why would Herb Simmons have a jealousy or animus towards Atilla Khan and myself? Well, you folks in USA Championship Wrestling may not be aware of why this is. You folks up here in St. Louis probably do have an inkling of it. You see, Herb Simmons has been the promoter of Southern Illinois Championship Wrestling for several decades. And the biggest business he's done, the most successful period in his promotion that he's had, has been roughly the last decade. And if we're upfront and honest about it, the truth of the matter is that the reason he's been successful for the last 10 or 12 years is because of the presence of the Travis Cook organization. We have drawn literally every dime that Herb Simmons has made for the last 12 years. We are so synonymous with the promotion that at this point, our home base, the East Carondelet Community Center, is routinely referred to by fans as the house that Travis built. We are so symbolic with this promotion by this point that the Classic Wrestling Championship belt, which is the main title here, is often referred to by people as Travis's belt, because I managed 4 different people to that championship over the years. It's become synonymous with me, synonymous with the Travis Cook organization. But you see, Herb Simmons has a problem, and it's a problem that a lot of other promoters have. He's got this problem of thinking that all this success is due to him. Is due to the guy in a suit pushing a pencil somewhere, when really that's not the case. Now, a lot of promoters fall into that trap. Vince McMahon always thought that he was the one that built the WWE and not Hulk Hogan. Everybody knows that's not true. Herb Simmons evidently thinks the same thing. So Herb Simmons has always tried to throw his weight around against us. He's always tried to prove he's the boss, and he's always been unsuccessful in doing that for a number of years. So he's got some jealousy against us to begin with. Now let's move on to USA Championship Wrestling. Why did Atilla Khan and myself go there? Well, it was for 2 reasons. The first reason was very simple. We found out that Ricky Cruz had been signed down there. Now, we'd been chasing Ricky Cruz consistently up here ever since last fall when Atilla Khan laid him out in a match and left him laying in a pool of his own blood. And he wanted a rematch, and Ricky Cruz ran from him from over a year up here. So he goes off and hides in Tennessee. What did we do? We went and found him. We chased him down there. And men of our word that we are, within 3 weeks, 3 weeks of showing up in USA Wrestling, we found Ricky Cruz, we confronted him in the ring, Atilla Khan beat him up, and left him laying once again like he always does, and you haven't heard a peep out of Ricky Cruz since then. We did exactly what we said we were going to do. Mission accomplished. But there is a second reason for going to USA Championship Wrestling, and that second reason was the fact that it's no secret, USA Championship Wrestling is getting a lot of attention across the country right now. They're getting a lot of influence. They're becoming the hot new promotion all across this country. They've got a television footprint all across this nation. So the fact that we could go down there and get national television, be seen across the country, and the fact that we laid out Ricky Cruz on national TV where the whole country knows that Atilla Khan's the better man, that was too much for us to pass up. You see, for about 10 years, both Atilla Khan and myself, in our own separate ways, have been in that category of best kept secrets in professional wrestling. The guys that you'd see on a wrestling card and you'd think, why isn't that guy a nationally known name? The bottom line is the wrestling business contracted a lot in the early 2000s, and those national opportunities weren't really as prevalent as they used to be. So when we had the chance to go to USA Championship Wrestling and ply our trade where the whole nation could see it, frankly, 10 years later than it should have happened for both of us, we jumped on it. We did it. And we were making waves. The people of Tennessee loved us. We had a lot of fans down there. And then what happens? Herb Simmons, 3 or 4 weeks into our tenure down there, suspends us for nothing. Because he's jealous. Because he can't stand the thought of the Travis Cook organization becoming nationally successful, leaving him in the dust and leaving him with nothing. Now, yes, when we went down to USA, I knew that Burt Prentice had hired Herb Simmons. I didn't realize he was having Herb actually make decisions. I thought he brought him in to be a gopher or run people to the airport or whatever. I thought he had pity on him, felt sorry for him or something, and brought him down there. But little did I know that Burt Prentice, in spite of running a first-class promotion, had fallen into a trap that a lot of promoters have fallen into over the years, which is trusting someone with a lot of decision-making power that really didn't deserve it. History shows that's the best way to run a territory into the ground. You bring someone in and give them a little bit of power, and they start screwing everything up, and you got to take that power back. Burt Prentice hadn't figured that out yet. But yes, when we were suspended, we took it personally, and we confronted Herb Simmons about it. I don't know how many of you have seen that video yet. But Burt Prentice referred to us as cowardly and scum of the earth for confronting Herb Simmons. Well, where I come from, when somebody wrongs you, when someone lays an injustice upon you, confronting them to their face is anything but cowardly. It's the most manly thing you can do, and that's exactly what Atilla Khan and I did. And this industry, this business, has a long history of talent and wrestlers physically confronting promoters that are screwing them over. From Eddie Sharkey and Vern Gagne on down. It's happened since day one. We don't always handle things in the boardroom in this industry, you see. So yeah, myself and Atilla Khan did confront Herb Simmons. And it did get physical, and it had to. And we're not ashamed of it. And Burt Prentice, if you had the knowledge of the wrestling industry that you say you do, you would have recognized that and you would have overruled Herb Simmons. But you haven't figured it out yet. Now I hear the Star Twins down there. They've come out of the woodwork. And they've taken up the battle and the battle flag for Herb Simmons. We'll stand up for you. We'll go after Atilla Khan and Travis Cook, which is real easy for you to say when we're suspended and you know we won't be at TV. And it's real easy to try and talk all tough when you know we're not there. Well, I'd like to remind you boys of one thing. You came up to St. Louis one time. Your fans down there in Tennessee might not know this. You came up to St. Louis one time and you faced two members of the Travis Cook organization, Christopher Hargis and Ken Casa, and they beat you. Now, there's no shame in that. Everybody gets beat by Christopher Hargis and Ken Casa. But don't go around trying to think that you can one-up us and try to talk from a TV show somewhere where you know we can't be at. Now, one day, boys, we're going to cross paths. It may not be in USA Championship Wrestling. I don't know where it'll be. But I've got my ways of finding people Ricky Cruz found that out. And if I were you, I'd sit down, I'd shut up, and I wouldn't mention the names Travis Cook or Attilla Khan ever again, because you'll get pulled through your hoop.